Hey guys, today we're doing a 2A tier list. The last one was done a year ago, and since we have new 2A, let's take a look at how they fare against the older 2A. And also, I want to just revisit the 2A situation that we have over here because maybe the meta changed in Siege and PvE. I also added a new tier called More Than One because some 2A out there, you might want to make more than one because they're just that good in PvP. Also, let me know in the comment section down below if your favorite 2A is not ranked really well in the tier list, and share with me how you use the 2A. It is not really what I think, it is what you guys use every day and have fun with. That is the most important thing. A YouTuber opinion should not be the deciding factor on how you enjoy Summoners War. With that said, let's jump right into the 2A tier list. Starting off, we have the Water Vagabond. Over the many years he has been in the game, nobody has made this guy and he has no real use in any part of the game besides showing up in TOA. Dark Howl. Oh my god. I used to think this unit was okay, but nowadays, you have to do more than one to be competitive in G3 Siege. This thing is amazing at countering different light damage dealer in the game. The skill 3 make them do shit damage. It can strip, it can heal, it can cleanse. Very good tank, and I freaking love this unit. And for the unit I use a lot, we're gonna show rune build for them as well. So this is my Cha-Cha and friends. I think I need a bit more speed, but overall you want to run either triple revenge or double revenge will, because this is gonna soak up a lot of damage from the enemy. And when your Cha-Cha revenge, it can, or they can, heal and put shield on the team. You can max skill if you want, you don't have to, because it doesn't give any cooldown reduction. If it has cooldown reduction for skill 2, that'd be crazy. But very good unit. I run mine on speed, HP, and HP. And max res is important because you don't want to get defense broken and die, right? So Cha-Cha and friend, you might need to make 1, 2, 3 depending on how your guildies force you to build more, pretty much. I think you can have a bit more accuracy because the skill 3 requires to have accuracy to land all the time. But it's not really the focus point of this unit. And I have minus light and I have skill on recovery, and you can also try to get skill 3 accuracy and skill 2 recovery as well. The Wind Howl, I don't even know the name of this unit to be honest, and nobody uses it whatsoever in any content, so bottom tier. Darien, I would say Darien is a PvE unit, but to be very honest, I don't use Darien in any content. I don't feel like my early game account need Darien in any content. But if you want to have Darien for your R5 team in the front line, then Darien can be an option. I think Darien can be used in maybe some of the farming team if you need damage reduction. But Darien is not a very good tank because Darien passive allow him to take more damage because, I don't know why. He has better damage reduction than Diaz, the 4-star dark unit that pretty much does the same thing. But Darien take more damage to himself. Which means if I use Darien as a dedicated tank, he die faster as a light tank, which is kind of bad. So I don't use Darien at all. But I think Darien has some use in PvE, so I'm gonna put him right there. Water Kali, what's her name? I think she can be a great PvP unit as a water single target snipe, has a CC in skill 3 as well, and you can use it with the Wind Cookie unit that buff attack and crit rate, and you can build this thing on speed, crit damage, attack, on rage, and it can one-shot enemy unit for you, and ignore defense is a very good thing to use in Siege because when they die, they can't violent prompt. So you can use her, Kali, and the Praline, I think that's the name of the Wind Cookie that has speed lead and crit rate and attack buff to double one-shot the enemy, especially if you don't summon any Covenant, or you want another water ignore defense unit, but you don't have an extra Covenant. You can build this unit for some ignore defense damage. But because Covenant is a 4-star and I think does more damage on the same rune set and Covenant Awaken into crit rate, building Covenant is going to be a bit easier compared to the Water Kali. I can't remember her name. So she's not very popular compared to Covenant. Dark Mystic Witch. So this unit is going to be a PvE unit. I think you can use it in PvP as well, but if you make this unit, you're probably going to use it in your Steel Fortress team to land buff block and do some AoE damage. So she's gonna be a PvE unit. I don't see her being used in other content. She's also used in the Dimension boss grinds and gem farming for Ancient Rune as the middle wave AoE damage dealer because she's dark, so it's easy to rune her and she ignores all elements. She's being used there as well. Water Grim Reaper. For this unit, I initially thought that you gain instant turn with one of the skill, but you don't, like the dark one. So I don't really use him for pretty much anything. So I'm gonna put in the nah tier because I don't even use it for fun. And you know me, I gotta squeeze out all content the game that has to offer, and I don't even use it for fun, which means you probably don't want to use it for anything whatsoever. Wind Grim Reaper. Okay, I'm gonna say the skill 3 damage can be quite funny to look at. So I'm putting it into the fun tier. If you set up it right, I think it can do very good damage, and you can keep doing that skill, which is a very fun mechanic. So if you want to build for fun, for PvP, you can. And you need to set it up properly though. So it's not going to be like a try-hard option. Dark Vagabond. Okay, this guy could be a very good free-to-play Dark tank if Diaz didn't exist. Diaz is the Dark Death Knight. And he has been available in Whole Heroes for so many times. It makes this guy not as relevant because Diaz can defense break as well and has anti-crit in the passive too, and Darien passive on top of it. Darien plus this guy will be Diaz, I think. But this guy is gonna be like a PvP unit. You want to use it to tank light unit in the enemy team and also provide support capability with provoke and defense break. Very solid PvP unit. Dark Kali. I also don't know this name. Dark Kali, I think, is a PvP unit. AoE damage. I think Seishizo make a video about her recently. And she can do some solid damage, buff her own crit rate. I wouldn't say it's a must-do or top tier in any content. Kali. Oh, this one will go into the more than one tier. So Kali is an amazing buffer and damage dealer. You can use Kali in so many different ways, and that's why a lot of people build more than one Kali for their siege offense. In my guild, this guy is a Kali enjoyer. He probably has like 5 Kali. And his favorite team is Speed Lead, Miyang, Kali, and another one-shot unit. So in this build, Kali is on the speed crit rate attack build. And make sure Kali is faster than most of your unit or faster than the enemy if you can on a very high speed build. And then it will buff attack speed for Miyang and attack power as well. Miyang one shot, and then the auto damage dealer one shot another target. So a very, very good unit for turn 1 buffing. He pretty much used Miyang everywhere and used Kali a whole lot because building Kali is gonna be very, very easy. It's a very similar concept to this team, but you replace this with Kali because Kali does a very, very similar thing. If I go to rune Kali myself, I would rune speed, crit rate, and attack, and that's about it. And allow Kali to go first, buff, and then the other 2 units will one-shot the enemy. You can also use Kali with this guy because he buffs attack and crit rate, and that's where you build Kali as a real damage dealer. So Rage or Swift Blade, speed good damage attack. Make sure he's speed tuned to the Praline, so make sure Kali has like plus 130 speed or something, and then Kali's gonna one-shot the enemy as well, together with your Covenant, Bethany, Sonia, Amber, no, Fire Amber, whatever you want. Fire Darien. I think this name is Kai or something. Not exactly the most amazing unit because you don't really need AoE provoke that often, and usually you need it in 5-star towers, and you have John for that purpose, and John is free to play. And there are so many other provoke units that makes this guy not as popular. And they never gonna buff 2A, and I've never seen really anyone use this guy seriously in any capacity. It's not really that fun to play with as well. So I'm put Kai into the nah tier. But maybe if you need like a provoke unit for your TOA, or no, the premium TOA, the COA, then maybe you're gonna build him. But who does that content anyway? Fire Howl. I think there was a brief moment where this unit was meta on siege defense, and then it got fade away very, very quickly. So I would say it's gonna be a fun toy. It's like a nice niche healer that does some damage and strip, but doesn't really do anything well. So kind of irrelevant in most content, but I feel like it has potential to be kind of funny because it's a mix between healing and damage. Light Mystic Witch. So this girl can do very good AoE damage. I'm put her into PvE, and people build her, I think, only when you need AoE damage for whatever PvE content that you are doing. That is like Lab Boss or the Ancient Grinds and Gem, where you need LD AoE damage. You're gonna probably use her, but that is pretty much where you use her because her damage and the base stat is kind of bad to use her as a AoE cleave unit that counter revive and stuff. So she's not very used often in any real PvP capacity. Lulu. Oh my god. Another more than one because Lulu is one of the most amazing generic healing support unit in the game. And if you don't have like a 5-star healer, you're gonna use Lulu. If you don't have Ariel, Alaya, Water, Unicorn, you need Lulu. And if you want more water healer, Lulu is the easiest, simplest option you can build. So Lulu's gonna be used more than one, a must do for a lot of PvP and PvE content in the game. My support healers use pretty much one rune set, so this rune set will probably go on Lulu, but it also goes on Alaya, it goes on Riley, on Ariel, it goes on many different healers, and I make it simple. I build one rune set for all of them. So this is gonna be my healer rune set on a speed, HP, high resistant build, and that's pretty much the build you want to have for Lulu, or how many Lulu you want to build. You use pretty much the same rune set on them. Water Mystic Witch. Alright, this used to be like the cheap Bastet, but now Bastet is the cheap version of 2A Colleen or something. Very low base speed, only care about the attack buff for the most part. You don't really care about the defense buff. And there are so many attack buff boosts nowadays that make this unit very irrelevant. I would say she'll fall into the nah tier, but a lot of people still make a case for her to use in Arena when you use her on Will Nemesis to counter Leo defense, but you don't really see defense with Leo anyway that often. But if you want to build her, you can 2A her, put her on Nemesis Will, make sure she's not too tanky so she gain the attack bar, and she buff the Lucian and you can cleave the enemy team. That is using Leo on their defense. For the most part, you don't really need this unit for buffing, and she's very irrelevant because you can use Kali and Miyang, and that's going to be one of your snipe team. And the other team, you use Praline and other ignore defense unit. You don't really use her at all. But because she provides a utility that is great for PvP, and if you need that, you can build her. Win Kali. Alright, I'm going to put this into the meh tier. It has a team up ability, which could have been very good, but it's not that good. Like, nobody uses it for anything in particular. It doesn't have, I think, smart AI. And the other two skills are kind of shit, so nobody uses it for any purpose. Light Grim Reaper. This one's going to be a PvE unit because it served a similar function to the Light Mystic Witch, whereby you use it for AoE neutral color damage dealer. And that's pretty much all it does. The defense break, if it's 2 turns, I think it's going to make it more relevant in other content, but right now, not relevant at all. Fire Mystic Witch. I think this is going to be a PvE unit that you use for maybe R5 for your AoE healing and cleansing purpose. But in reality, nobody use it. You don't have to use it. I've played my beginner account without making this unit because you can also make Fire Panda for free and 5-star, and you can use Fire Panda for other content as well. Meanwhile, you don't really use this thing for anything in particular. So I'll put it in PvE because there's a case for her in PvE. Roy, the Wind Vagabond. So this one's gonna be in the more than one tier. I think it was very, very popular at least maybe 6 months ago or before the Dark Series meta, where the defense were a bit different and Roy were so popular that everyone had to make so many Roy to compete in high tier siege. But I think nowadays Roy is not as important anymore. I'm gonna move Roy to the must-do tier because Roy has a very good defense break skill, and he is gonna be amazing for a lot of PvP or PvE content where you need a win defense breaker / damage dealer / being kind of tanky. So I think overall Roy is a pretty solid unit. Fire Grim Reaper. Okay, when they made Giant Abyss hard, this guy went from very important to like fun toys. But now I'm using Fire Grim Reaper in Arena every freaking day. I would say Fire Grim Reaper is going to be a must-do unit. And it's not even like a fun or good unit for PvP, but a must-do unit because Dart Team in Arena is so meta that you have to make if you want to kill Camilla very fast. Yes, a fire unit being a counter to one of the most popular units in the game on Arena defense, that is going to be Camilla. So if you see a defense like this, for example, and it doesn't have a lot of impact, but it's very tanky and hard to kill, Dart is going to make sure they all die at the same time very, very quickly. And this guy just make that process happen even faster, and that is very important in Arena Rush. So I built this guy on Will, whatever. You literally can build this guy on whatever, but make sure to have Will. I make sure to have max res and a bit of accuracy as well. And I paired with AoE Dart unit. So I freaking love this unit because with down Sav, the Dart will take a bit longer to kill them, which is not a problem, but hey, if you can do it faster, why not, right? So I can replace Sav with Eureka, a 5-star unit, to put even more dots on the enemy, but most of the time, I can't put more than 10 debuff. So do I really need more dots on the enemy, or do I want to kill the enemy faster when they take the first hit from the dot. And he can put dot on his own as well, so I don't even need another dot unit. And because of Saf combined with Trick's passive, they die so quickly. And it makes every defense I can use this on look like TOA. And that is an amazing feeling. I love this guy. And you can use it in TOA, you can use it in whatever you want, in Siege offense, I don't care. But I think he's a must-do unit because he make one of the most amazing arena offense team. Shren. I think Shren is more of like a fun toy situation. It's a neutral ignore defense damage dealer. On paper, make it really good, but the lower base attack and the fact that it doesn't do as much damage compared to, let's say, Kali. You know what? I can't bring myself to push Shren down under Megan. So Shren's gonna be here as a fun toy for PvP. But I wouldn't say Shren is like a must-do unit. You can live without Shren. Just make more Kali. The Light Howl. Light Howl is an amazing healer, but for some reason, it is not as popular as Lulu because I think the skill 3 is on Cleanse. And cleansing is very important to make a healer really good, but it is still a very good healer for PvP in general. I think being water for a healer is actually better than being light because most of the time you can bait people to hit a water unit much easier compared to using a light unit because light unit get hit by everybody, but water get hit by wind and water. So being elemental makes you a better tank in my opinion sometimes, and I feel like there's not a whole lot of crazy dark defense breaker out there, so maybe you don't really need this unit. And a lot of dark defense breaker actually have AoE defense break. You know what? I think I'm wrong. Being a light tank is good, but not as good as water. So I'll put it down here instead. Like compared to the dark tank, dark Cha-Cha Howl thing, Cha-Cha provide that skill 3 that's so unique, but this unit only provide healing. So I think that's why Cha-Cha is so much more popular. Wind Mystic Witch. Alright, this unit, in my opinion, could have been a must-do top-tier unit if it has good AI for the skill 3 that put out heal block and buff block, which is the perfect combination of debuff for the Steel Fortress. But it has shitty AI, so not a lot of people use it because if you have shit AI, why do I even bother? You're gonna get stunned by the boss before you actually use a skill anyway. So it could have been a must-do unit for PvE, but because she has shitty AI, like nobody give a shit about her. Even though she has the best debuff combination, defense break, buff block, and heal block for Steel Fortress. It is so tragic. Dark Grim Reaper. Alright, Dark Grim Reaper I would say is a solid PvE, PvP unit. So I think it's a must-do unit because it is an amazing AoE dot provider and it is very underrated as an AoE dot provider that can also stun and have insane turn cycling potential for PvP. And of course, you want to use it for TOA. And it's amazing for Siege if you use it as a turn 2 dot unit. That is like a free-to-play recap, pretty much. So, a very great unit that you should do, or you must do. Elusia. For me personally, I don't build more than one, but a lot of guildies build more than one. Because in high rank, she's not meta anymore. She used to be super meta. Very good unit, but nowadays not as good. But because G3 Siege and G1 Siege is a whole different thing. I think you can still use a lot of Elusia in your lower rank PvP, and she can still be really good. I don't personally use her a whole lot because she is very safe to play with and very boring to watch because her whole deal is to control the enemy really well, provide healing for the team, and that's about it. So I don't use her. I like to use big damage, funny haha unit. But she's very good. I will build her on Violent Revenge or Violent Nemesis and put her on speed HP attack and have high overall HP and attack stat for healing and tanking it. And Revenge allows her to Revenge and Freeze, which is really good. Pixie. Oh my god, how do I know this unit name? The Wind Fairy thing. Nobody uses it for anything in particular. I would say is that nah, you can live without her. No problem whatsoever. Water Warbear. Okay, this guy is kind of underrated, but I feel like the fact that you can debuff him make him not as good, but I think as a water tank for things like Dominic can make him really good. Next up, we have the oldest more than one tier unit, but nowadays, probably not. Nowadays, you don't need to build 3 because you cannot use 3 in the Abyss dungeon. You don't have to build 3 for any other content, but you should build 1, I would say, because you still see people using it in different kind of team like Necro, Dragons, and R5, and other things. You might not use it for PvP though, but you're definitely going to use it in PvE. So I think you still should do one, or I would say must do one, because it is usable in many different situations, but not like the top tier where you have to build more than one anymore. I think it's still going to be a must do. If you can do one, you should do one, but it's not like a top priority to build in any shape or form. Fire Fairy. Okay, this one's gonna be a PvP unit, but I would say it's more of like a fun toy. The only time you see Fire Fairy being used a lot is during Special League RTA, where it pairs perfectly well with Tyrone, and being able to provide strip and slow is gonna be amazing. But in real RTA, she doesn't provide enough utility compared to other units. But I would say she's still like an okay toy to play around with, but it's not like necessary for any real purpose, because a casual player or an average player wouldn't even care about Special League RTA 4-star anyway. Fire Pixie used to be must do paired with Saf for Giants, but nowadays I would say it's a PvE, or I would even say it's a fun toy, because you can use it in TOA to blow up all the dots to make it very satisfying, but you don't have to, because TOA is so easy nowadays. You can build pretty much anything. You can still beat TOA just fine. If you want to see dot blow up, funny numbers, but if you don't want to do that or care about it, then you don't have to do it. Fire Warbear. I think this one is actually a fun toy. It has AoE provoke. It can do some funny damage. I think it's great in during Special League RTA, a 4-star unit. But overall, nobody really use it. It's not exactly an amazing fire tank, because it can be defense broken and die by a Theomars, for example. So I wouldn't say it's a great unit. Rogue. Ooh. Personally, I have more than one Rogue, but that's me. I think for most people, Rogue will be a must-do unit, but personally, for me, I make more than one because I use different Rogue for different kind of funny purpose. So I have 3 Rogue. One of them is on Will Shield lacking an artifact for R5. I didn't know it lacked an artifact, but my team has been running just fine, so I couldn't care less. But you can have one Rogue on a Will set, and in R5 you usually have a crit rate leader skill, so you don't need max crit on Rogue, and it's gonna carry one of the team with team up and good damage. Another Rogue that I don't have rune is usually having the Swift set or the funny build for PvP. So I don't mess up my other PvE Rogue, because I like to play Rogue for fun sometimes, and the Rogue for PvP might be on Violent, on Swift, on many different kind of build, so I don't want to mess up my PvE Rogue for that. That's why I build another Rogue. It's the same vibe as you have different pair of glasses in your house. Like you have one in the kitchen and one in the bathroom, or one in the sleeping room or bedroom, sleeping room. So you don't have to bring your glasses around. Kind of weird, I know. Or maybe you have different PC setup in different rooms, because the different PCs serve different purposes. And then I have another Rogue on Fight Rune for Speed Dungeon team, but not necessarily good for R5 because it's very squishy. So that's another Rogue right there. That's why I have 3 Rogue. Personally, I don't think you have to build many Rogue. You're probably gonna need one for your farming team or your PvP team, but maybe build 2, I think would be the best. Wind Pixie. Oh wait, no, this is Wind Fairy. Nobody uses it for anything, I would say in the bottom tier. Wind Pixie. Early game, you can build it for Giants, but it falls off very quickly. You want to replace this unit as soon as possible to make your team faster, because it doesn't provide defense break. So it's kind of useless as a support for Giants, because when you want to make your team faster, you want to add defense break, and it doesn't do that. So it's like an early game PvE option if you want to do it, but you don't have to, okay? Low priority PvE unit. Wind Warbear, the god of old school summoners. Everybody who plays this game for more than 8 years has a special place in their heart for this Rama god, but nowadays it's more of a fun toy. Like, it can still pull off some funny trick, can be still an anti-cleave unit in RTA, maybe, but it's more of a fun toy than anything. Ramahan. Ramahan, I would say, is a PvP unit. You can pair Ramahan with Immensity to boost a very heavy damage build Ramahan to one-shot, let's say, an enemy Odin or whatever. I think it's still usable because of the speed lead that will allow Immensity to outspeed even easier, and you can pair with the 2-way living armor to make a ignore defense snipe team, which can be very fun. But I personally wouldn't use it in higher rank. I don't see anyone use it in higher rank at the moment. Sometimes I do, but not very often. Light Fairy. Not used by anyone in any real team as of now. Light Pixie. in the same department, no serious use. Lucia. Oh, I think this one's gonna be a fun toy. I have a special place in my heart for this one because I was one of the first one to build it, to put it on a max damage build and it one-shot anything with a defense break. But it's too risky to play. That's why I don't really play it. And I have other unit for one-shotting. Ignore defense still a better option for most cases. But it is a very funny toy. If you have like a good HP, crit damage HP set that have max crit and you pair with like a Lauren, for example, you can one-shot anything. Very fun. Belladon. Ah, good old boy Belladon. I think this one is gonna be like a PvE unit. It is a defense breaker, just like Roy for Giants. It has healing, but overall doesn't provide enough to be top tier, but I think it's gonna be a great unit for the general public. I don't think it's gonna be that great for PvP, but because maybe in low rank it's not that bad. But I wouldn't put it in the must-do tier. I would say it's gonna be in the PvE tier. Dark Fairy. Nope. Still useless till today. Dark Pixie. Ooh. I think this one's gonna be a fun toy, but it requires skill up, which is commitment, and you don't want that, okay? In the right context. I wouldn't say she's very good for anything in particular. And man, Zyra's so good nowadays for AoE cooldown reset and so much easier to build. I think this one's going to be a fun toy for Special League RTA if you need a cooldown increase unit. That is a neutral element, but requires skill up to be maximized, to be utilized to its full potential. I don't think it's going to be great for anything. Oh, I used to love this guy for my beginner guide account because he provides AoE control and attack break, but nowadays you don't need that anymore because of Spectra, this unit right here. So I don't really use him for anything anymore. I think I'm going to put it in the bottom tier. But God, back then, when things were simpler, this guy was amazing for my beginner guide account. Crow. Okay, Crow I think is going to be in the must-do tier. You don't have to do more than one Crow. But your Crow is going to be usable across different content from Giants, Dragons to Rift Beast. Very solid PvE damage dealer that everyone should have one. Vigor. Okay, Vigor I would say is a must-do. I'm not sure if I'm going to put Vigor in the more than one tier. I think the higher rank you go, the less likely going to use a lot of Vigor. But Vigor is a solid healer, damage dealer, defense breaker, high base speed, amazing base HP, and very usable across PvE and PvP. So I'm going to put Vigor in the must-do tier. Water Marshal Cat. I would say this is going to be a PvP unit. I think in the low rank where people don't have a lot of HP and defense, you can build her to snipe things, especially on siege defense with a speed lead, and she can hit like a truck. But the higher rank you go, the more you realize that you can't really kill anything with her in turn 1. So I think she will go into PvP if you're early game, but if you're like end game, she's probably going to be a fun toy unit. Fire Werewolf. Very useless, can't be a good tank, and doesn't support the team in any capacity. Fire Marshal Cat. I would say this one's going to be in the bottom tier. I don't build this unit, like, ever. I've never really seen it as a fun toy at all. A lot of people swear by her back when Skogo was on defense a lot, and she can destroy HP of Skogo very quickly, and that makes Skogo very useless. But that is like 2020 or 2018 or whatever. She's not used by anyone nowadays, so I wouldn't make her. Win Werewolf. Probably in the bottom tier as well, because the passive requires you to have higher HP than the enemy to use the passive, which is kind of dumb because you can also use him as a wind tank, but if you're tanking damage, then your HP is going to be shit, and you cannot activate your things. So it's kind of weird. I don't like it. Win a Marshal Cat. I would say for early game, it's going to be a PvE unit. It's going to be a very simple unit to build for R5 and Giants if you want to have a very simple wind damage dealer for that kind of content. So I think it's going to be a PvE unit because when you have debuff on enemy, you're going to crit. You can full build her with damage and crit damage, which is going to make her hit really, really hard. Light Werewolf. Okay, this one's going to be a more than one unit because it is an attack bar booster and overall a very amazing generic bruiser in PvP content. I'm not sure if I'm going to use him in PvE though, but he's available to be used in RTA. Very good unit for turn 1 contest. Probably the only free-to-play unit left if you want to go for turn 1 and you want to take it away from the enemy with Asher on a speed crit rate HP build, but it requires very good runes to be used in RTA. But for Siege, a lot of people use it for defense. A lot of people use it for offense to boost their team to go first. I personally use it a lot as well and my Asher either go on a Vile set for defense, for example, Vile Will, or it's gonna be using a Swift build or a very low speed build or super tanky. It's very versatile. Sometimes I also slap my faster Swift on my Asher, but because my faster Swift is a slot 6 accuracy build, it's not very good for Asher. But still, when I need a booster that I want to go first, Asher is gonna be one of the options. Light Martial Cat, gonna be in the bottom tier as well. No real use for whatever cases. Joltan has went from an okay unit to more than one nowadays because Joltan is amazing against the current defense meta where they rely on crit and chilling and just a lot of damage. And Joltan reflect damage with the passive, provide defense break for your damage dealer, and provide a speed lead as well. And you can build him. You can build multiple Joltan and can use one rune set for pretty much all of them. My Joltan is on an energy build. It used to be on a revenge build, but nowadays I require him to live the longest and not revenge at all. So he's gonna be on an energy build, but I think revenge is gonna be great as well. I run HP, and you want him to be as tanky as possible. You can also go for a revenge build with higher resistance. I think for low rank resistance matter more, and that can allow him to resist the defense from the enemy. But he is really good. There's so many different teams for you to use him in your siege offense because he can just tank all that juicy damage in the current defense meta. So in the current meta, there's a lot of chilling, there's a lot of Asher, and Joltan's gonna be a great tank for that kind of unit. And it's just a very simple unit to use overall and provide a lot of good utility. Miho is actually kind of amazing for PvP nowadays. So I've been playing more Cleave and people trying to counter Cleave with a lot of like niche damage dealer, and Miho can solo all of them. It's kind of funny. And I've been using more Miho in siege defense and siege offense as well as a solo unit that can just keep revenging them and do a lot of damage to them because people in high rank build their unit with high crit rate, and Miho just countered that very, very nicely. So I've been enjoying Miho so much more. Khan is kind of useless, but if you own like AoE Nat 5 Deathbreaker like Nephthys or Maximilian, a lot of people are trying to counter you with Juno, and Khan can be like a fun toy in that situation where he can just absolutely shit on all these fire counter unit with great damage and his own defense break. Spectra, I would say, is a must-do for a beginner player, and it's gonna carry you through all TOA and dragons in your first month or two, and it's still gonna be available to use for TOA Hell endgame if you want to do that. And overall, a great unit that every beginner should build first. Okay, this is very important. In my beginner account, the moment I finish building this unit, in the first day or two, it instantly allowed me to clear so many different content with ease. Amazing unit. Bernard. I think Bernard is going to be a great PvE booster, and it's going to allow you to pair with Galleon and another damage dealer. Similar case to the Asher, but I wouldn't build too many Bernard because Bernard has lower base speed than Asher, so outspeeding is going to be harder, especially when everyone uses Asher and chilling nowadays on defense. It's very hard for Bernard to outspeed them, but it's still good to do one because you're going to use it to boost your damage dealer to go first. But the thing about Bernard is that it doesn't change the skill a whole lot, so even a normal Bernard could probably do the same job for the most part. The two-way version is definitely better with damage output, skill 3 upgrade, with the skill up giving a bit more attack by boost, but it's not too important like Asher, in my opinion. I think Shaman is a must-do in terms of PvE. I don't think nowadays Shaman is good enough for PvP anymore, but maybe if you're still seeing a lot of dark unit on 4-star towers for your siege, you can still use Shaman to tank them, but Shaman is going to be a great unit for the Necro boss, and pretty much the only unit that can kill the boss with ease from like full health. And Shaman is just insane for that particular purpose. And you can also use Shaman and TOA Hell if you want to. And in my opinion, definitely going to be a must-build unit. On the other hand, the Dark Shaman is more like a fun toy because it crits all the time and stun, defense break. A funny unit, but not relevant in any meta team whatsoever. Water Living Armor. I used this guy for a little while in the artifact farming team, but I don't farm that a whole lot, so I wouldn't say it's going to be a must-do. And also the team is very, very hard to build with very good runes, so it's not a must-do for people. And I only use him in the front line for R5, and I think you don't even have to 2A him to do so. but I 2A him already, so I might as well put it in. It's gonna be a PvE unit, but for like the end game team, so you don't have to do him. Fire Living Armor is gonna be only used for the Ancient Grinds and Gem boss, where you can hit through the shield with this guy and break the shield for the rest of the team to do damage. So another unit that you don't have to do, but is relevant in some PvE content. Wind Living Armor is gonna be a great unit for PvP. I don't think it's a must-do because it's not that easy to use for a lot of people, but maybe... No, I'm going to put it into PvP. It's not a must-do. You can do it. It's going to be good for you, but I wouldn't say you have to have him because it belongs to a one-shot team. You might not have the runes for it, or you might not be a fan of one-shot team that is not, let's say, Kali or Lucian, but I would say if you have the resources to do it later part of your journey. You don't have to do it first and early. You can do it after you play for like 3-4 months and you know exactly what you're doing and you can build a one-shot team. You should build him. Light Living Armor. I've been trying to make this guy work in different content, but right now, I wouldn't recommend anyone to build Light Living Armor for anything whatsoever because he doesn't really do anything special that I need him for any content. Dark Living Armor. Okay, this guy is very crucial for the artifact farming team because he provides buff block with all 3 skill, which is probably the only unit in the game can do that. So I would say he might be a must-do unit if you care about left side artifact farming, which you should. You know what? To advocate for left side artifact farming, I'll put him into the must-do tier. And you can pair him with Ling Ling to provide a lot of buff block, or you can use him alone as a buff blocker. That also works. Ling Ling is also good because you can fuse her, so there are 2 free-to-play options for that dungeon, and it's still one of the hardest dungeons in the game. But he's definitely a must-do unit for just that dungeon alone because you farm it. You listen to me and you farm artifact right the fuck now. Tractor. Oh, I think Tractor is going to be in the more than 1 tier given how strong it still is in each offense. I still use my Tractor a lot from time to time. I have 2 Tractor and I use him in Siege a lot because Tractor can tank Byung-chon really, really well. And most people don't have a crazy Camilla. So you can build Tractor to be your main water tank because he's immune to defense break. And my Tractor is on a revenge build. You can build Tractor in so many different ways. It can be on Vampire Destroy, Violent Revenge, Violent Destroy, Revenge, whatever, okay? I like mine Revenge because I only use him to tank, and when they attack him, they get shit on by the skill 1 stun, and that's all I care about. But if you use a Tractor in a different way, you can build on Violent, on Vampire, whatever way you want. Fire Tractor Bulldozer. I think it's going to be in the same tier as the Wind Living Armor because they pretty much do the same thing where they ignore defense and do very well with defense buff. And it's a snipe team. That is harder to use the higher rank you got. Wind Frankenstein. So this guy pop in and out of RTA as a counterplay to debuff team, but I think the one that can really use him are the Seimei Laura user. So for most people, it's like either Na or Fun Toy. Because if you pair him with Tetra, you can really do some work against debuff team and RTA, but it's going to be hard to use and not exactly winning all the time. Light Frank. I think it's going to be a great PvP unit. I think Light Frank is kind of underrated as a defense scaling damage dealer. But if you pair him with a defense breaker, he can slap the shit out of the enemy. The multi is great. The utility is amazing. I feel like in some ways similar to the Light Warbear where you only need defense break for him to absolutely shit on the enemy. But because Light Frank provides so much more utility, it's going to make him a greater unit compared to the Light Warbear. And if you want to do some great defense killing damage, you have great defense artifact, you should build this guy because he's fun and good. Dark Frank. I think it's going to be a fun toy or a gimmicky thing. Honestly, you don't have to build this guy. He doesn't do anything very important. He's not even a great dark tank because if you build him on defense and you get defense broken, you just kind of die very, very quickly. And yeah. Now, we come to the most important part. What about the new 2A? First, we have Colleen, who's going to be an amazing attack buff booster, and healer. I think Colleen is going to be a great PvP and PvE. You know what? For PvE, she doesn't do shit. The normal Colleen doesn't do better because if you use her in Necro, the attack bar is kind of meaningless. If you use her in R5, I don't even need to 2A my Colleen in R5 and it still does the same thing. If you are 2Aing your Colleen, if you are second awakening your Colleen, then you're probably going to use it for PvP as an attack bar and attack power booster that has higher base speed than Megan. So technically probably better than Megan, has very low cooldown as well. So it's going to be a great support unit for your PvP team. Win Harpus is an okay-ish fun toy AoE control thing, but even with max skill is not consistent at doing that at all. So I would say if you want to build this guy, it's going to be a fun toy. You can use it in TOA, you can use it in some early game guild battle, but it's going to fall off very, very quickly. Dark Colleen. Alright, if you're watching Obaba content, you're probably going to put it in the must-do tier, but I would say it's more like a PvP unit at the moment. It is showing up in siege defense because the multi-hit, the damage, the team-up can be quite scary, and it can be built tanky while doing good damage with artifact. So right now, it is somewhere in the PvP tier. And if you own Zeratul, Han, and Insane Rune like Obabo, you can probably destroy people in RTA as well. But for now, I'll put it into the PvP tier. I think it's going to be a both fun toy because the skill 3 legit is kind of good. So it's not just a fun toy. It is actually kind of good. Water Harpus. So this is an attempt at being a budget Wind Robo or more, or just AoE stripper with attack bar manipulation. But the consistency is not amazing. So I'll put in the fun toy tier because it's not very consistent at doing the things that it should do. So you might lose if you use it too often. And lastly, with the light Harpus, I feel like this thing is underrated. I'm going to put it into the PvP tier because it has all the utility that make a good support with defense break, stun, and multi-hit to do good damage with additional damage artifact. But I think it needs something more, or maybe a bit more testing. But I think right now it's going to be a great PvP unit. I don't think you need to make any of the Harpus for PvE, to be honest, because your auto unit, your Nat Fighter you summon, can already have you clear PvE so easily. You don't need any of this for PvE. So if you are making them, you're making them for some fun in PvP. If you're making them, I recommend making the fire, dark, and light one. I think the wind and the water one are a bit inconsistent at what they do, so you don't have to make them. And you probably have to skill them up as well, which is like commitment. And once again, commitment in Summoners 1, I don't want to take that. Anyway, guys, this is my tier list for 2A. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.